You guys are on.
Action.
Corpus Callosum.
It's the Corpus Callosum here.
The fornix.
It's the fornix.
The septum pellucidum.
Septum pellucidum. It's a membrane in here.
Lateral ventricle.
The lateral ventricle is, you can't really see the lateral ventricle, but it would be on the outside, just above the corpus callosum.
And lateral to the septum pellucidum.
And lateral.
Choroid plexuses.
Actually, it would be upward, it would be more superior to here.
Okay.
And then it comes down.
Huh? The choroid plexuses.
The choroid plexus would be inside the ventricles, the lateral ventricles, which you can't really see, inside the third ventricle area here, and inside the fourth ventricle area.
Actually, wasn't this called the choroid plexus right here?
It could be.
Yeah. I think that's what he said.
Yes.
So
Is that true?
Wrong, yes.
Yeah. Feel
Okay.
free.
Okay.
I would second that.
Okay, the thalamus. The massa intermedia.
This little dot right here, I think it's number 5, connects the two oval masses of the thalamus.
Which
That's
would be
the intermediate mass.
intermediate.
Right, intermediate mass.
For how long you have been?
Till he kicks me out.
The cerebellum
The cerebellum is this
and arbor vitae.
arbor vitae, or
The branches.
The branches.
Okay, the third ventricle.
Third ventricle is this area right here.
The cerebral aqueduct.
Cerebral aqueduct is between the third and the fourth ventricle.
The midbrain.
Midbrain is actually this portion from about here to here.
The pons.
This is the pons right here.
The fourth ventricle.
This is the fourth ventricle right here. It's kind of pyramid shaped.
And the medulla.
The medulla starts from here right to the foramen magnum right here.
Cerebral hemispheres.
It would be right and left hemispheres.
The longitudinal fissure.
This would be the fissure here separating the right and left hemispheres. Gyri and sulci?
Oh, nothing should have been.
No, the
Well,
gyri
perhaps.
would be the kind of the bow
pulsing
portions
grooves.
here, and the sulci would be the little indentations, the smaller ones.
Okay, transverse fissure.
Transverse fissure is this area right here, separating the cerebrum from the cerebellum.
Okay, within the midbrain there's a corpora quadrigemina,
It's on the dorsal surface here.
which includes superior colliculi and the inferior colliculi.
Superior colliculi is up here, inferior colliculi is right here.
What are you pointing to there, Perry?
This is the corpora quadrigemma right here.
Would that be number 70, number 13?
It looks like 13.
Okay.
The upper
Which incorporates
portion
both.
here is the superior. This portion down here be the inferior. It attaches to the posterior commissural tract right here.
Okay. Yeah, the pineal gland.
Pineal gland is right here.
Okay. Hypothalamus.
The hypothalamus is this region right here.
And it includes
Of the
optic
thalamus.
nerves, chiasma,
Optic chiasma here.
and tracts.
Tracts in here.
Mammillary body.
Mammillary body. Let me see it, but I guess it'd be this one, number 12. I think it's number 12. This right here.
Little bulb.
Yeah, underneath the hypothalamus.
The infundibulum.
Infundibulum, it'd be this portion right here that attaches to the pituitary.
And the next one is pituitary gland.
And this is the pituitary gland.
That would be
here.
number 11.
Number 11.
Cerebral peduncles.
The cerebral peduncles would be right up here. You really can't see them because they don't show them very well, but it would be this area right here, just above the pons.
The ventral median fissure we can't show on here, nor the pyramids. We'll have to use the whole brain for that.
Yeah. Okay. It's right here. Are you speaking or am I speaking?
Go ahead, Perry.
This is the lateral ventricle. Inside, can you see the gray matter in there?
choroid plexus.
The choroid plexus, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, this right here, that's the choroid plexus.
Okay, do the corpus callosum.
This is the corpus callosum here with the fornix right here. And we have the
Septum pellucidum, you can't really...
septum pellucidum, you can't
not
really
there.
see, it's not there. This is the optic chiasma.
What is a
Starts right here.
chiasma? Is that a crossover
It's the
point?
So
cross-
they're meeting,
Right, it's the crossover. The laterals stay lateral, the medians crossover.
Okay.
Then you have the mammillary body, which is this portion right here, kind of smashed, so it stick out a little bit more. This is the infundibulum, which attaches to the pituitary.
Do we
which has
have?
been cut in half.
Yeah, it's cut in half. You can see part of it right there.
Can you encircle the whole pituitary?
This would be all right.
This would be the pituitary
I'm just
right
trying to
here.
get an idea of how large it is.
It's pretty large. It's right there.
Okay.
And this portion right here would be the hypothalamus.
Okay.
Yeah, this would be the thalamus here. The intermediate mass is gone, but it would be right here.
Okay.
Then the mid.
Let's pull this one in for the pineal body.
This is the pineal body right here.
What's the function of that body?
It creates
It's
melatonin in the
for
absence
sleeping
of dark,
right?
or in the absence of light in the absence of dark.
Okay.
Okay.
And how about these right here? This is the corpora quadrigemma. Quadrigemina.
And
This
their
is the
function?
superior, and this is the inferior. Colliculi.
Superiors for vision,
This is tracking,
tracking, right?
and this is the inferior,
Auditory.
which is for audio echolocation. So direction of where sound is coming from.
Not to be confused with our web.
This is the fourth ventricle, right down here. It's almost gone, but it's right here. This is the cerebral aqueduct right here, leading from the third ventricle to the fourth ventricle.
Okay.
Let's do the pons.
You have the pons right here,
Which is that bulbous area.
right, but would be about this portion right here. This portion between here would be your cerebral peduncle. And you can't really see it too well, but it's from here to here, just above the pons. It's your cerebral peduncles, which is your descending motor tract, pyramidal tract. Okay, and then you have your pyramid here on your medulla, which is also your descending motor tracts of the pyramid system. Let's see. What else is there? This is your cerebellum with the arbor vitae branches.
Cerebral cortex
Cerebral
would be the
quarter,
quarter
inch of the outer layer, which is gray matter with white matter.
And so there is synapsing in the cortex.
Right, and then you would have basal nuclei, which are here, and they're in different areas. You can't really see too well.
Should gyri and sulci on this.
Yeah, you could turn it this
Yeah.
way. The gyrus or gyri are these areas here, with the sulci being the little
Oh.
indentations in through here. Fissures being large.
Longitudinal.
Yeah.
Does this particular brain still have the pia attached to the gyri and sulci? And is there any way to tell?
It has arachnoid.
Okay.
That's arachnoid right there.
And so only the dura has been removed.
Yeah.
This is
Pia,
the
you're
dura.
right.
Duramator. That would be the duramator, and that was the.
Oh, you also have the olfactories. Olfactory bulb.
Yeah, right here.
This is the olfactory bulb, which attaches to the olfactory tract. Yes. Which goes to the mammillary body, which you really can't see. It's right here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
This is the
Darren.
mammillary body. I'm sorry, the pineal. This is the pineal gland right here.
And what's the function of that gland?
It creates melatonin in the absence of light.
Okay.
And then these are your two superior colliculi found on the corpora quadrigemina. The inferiors are down here. I'm not sure if we can pull that back enough to see them. There they are. These are your inferiors right here, which have to do with auditory location. The superiors having to do
Tracking.
with eye movement tracking, coordination.
This would be your cerebellum
Cerebellum
down here. Actually, it'd be on
on this side.
the ventral
median fissure.
fissure.
Right.
And then we've got the
Yeah,
pons.
the pons.
This is the pons right here, and this is, pull that back because that's really good.
Yeah.
There we go. Here they are. These are the cerebral peduncles right here.
And a
This is
peduncle
the
is simply a
pons.
region that things come
This is the
together.
medulla.
Peduncle is a narrowing to the pons,
Right.
and
Like-
the peduncle mean little feet, so they kind of are the feet for the cerebrum.
Okay.
And then we have the pyramids.
The decussation of them.
Can you show the pyramids?
Right here.
Right there.
Like with the fish.
Yeah, this is actually spinal
down
cord
by
here.
its-
Excuse me?
This is
Spin
spinal
on
cord
that.
here.
Correct.
Yep.
The mammillary body.
Right. Mammillary body's right here.
Okay.
And that's optic nerve. Is it an optic nerve?
Yeah, I would say it is. Optic coming around to the chiasma, that's been cut.
It used to be, yeah. The
Yeah.
optic nerve is right
Optic nerve. That's not the tract, right?
here. No, that's the optic
That
tract.
is the tract.
nerve comes from the eye.
Eye, correct.
It's the
Right there and
There
there.
it is, yeah.
That's the chiasma.
That's the optic chiasma.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Where the two optic nerves come in and meet and cross. And they
And they
become
come-
optic tracts.
Going away from.
Right.
And these are the
Which lead in-
olfactory.
Right, and these lead into the geniculate of the thalamus and also to the superior colliculi.
All right, Darren.
Okay, get the lateral
What is
ventricles.
Explain.
doing?
Introduce
Oh, I'm
yourself.
sorry.
I'm Darrin Yates. I'm here to talk about CSF flow.
flow. Okay, CSF flow. The cerebral spinal fluid flow. The cerebral spinal
Which
fluid
originates-
originates in the left ventricle, or not the left, but the lateral ventricles. Has choroid plexuses that actually secrete the CSF. The CSF then flows from the lateral ventricles down through the interventricular foramen, or foramen of Monroe, into the third ventricle, which is this region here. Once it gets in the third ventricle, there also is a choroid plexus that secretes more CSF fluid. It then goes down through the cerebral aqueduct into the fourth ventricle. Once in the fourth ventricle, not only is it accumulated from the lateral and the third, but it also accumulates from the central canal, which is lined with ependymal cells, come up into the fourth ventricle. They leave the fourth ventricle through two foramen of Luschka, or lateral apertures, or the one median aperture, or foramen of Magendie. Once it leaves that area, it flows into the subarachnoid space. Once in the subarachnoid space, 50% of it flows down the posterior portion of the cerebral column. It flows around all of the cerebral column, comes up the other side of the arachnoid into the arachnoid villi into the dural sinus. From the dural sinus, it returns back into bloodstream. Another flow would also come up around behind the cerebellum, around the tentorium cerebelli, in the subarachnoid space, to the arachnoid villi, and also into the bloodstream by way of dural sinus.